facing us and a lot of risks facing us. What should be the leadership today? Is it anything different from yesterday, or do we all need to show the leadership? Or do we have to wait, or do we want to wait for the charismatic leader to show up? And that's the kind of thing that I wanted to discuss today. By the way, before we get into that, if any one of you do not want to be shown on video, because we are live streaming, let me know. And as I always say, if you have a family waiting for you and somebody's birthday, and if they find out that you're here, I think you're going to be in big trouble. So I really don't want you to take a risk in that sense. And so if you don't want to be shown on the here, please let us know. That's one. And another thing is that right after this thing, we will have the networking event. So if you're interested, we have to move from this place quickly to the other place. So don't hang around too much and exchange name cards. So that's another request that we have. And make sure that you don't leave all the cups and things here. Just throw it away, because we have all these waste basket and garbage and so forth. By the way, how many of you have been to this event before? Okay, the first time? First timers? Okay, quite a few. So that's about half and half. That's good. Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so today's, or the topic is leadership. Getting back to the topic. How many of you have watched or read John Maeda's? Okay, is that TEDx Tokyo? Okay. Others, have you read anything that John Maeda has written? This is a pretty risky question, but let me know by raising hand. If everybody close your eyes. Raise your hand if you have not done anything related to John Maeda. Just close your eyes. Oh, everybody. Okay. Okay, so quite a few people have no idea what John Maeda is. Okay, let those who have watched the video of TEDx Tokyo, how many of you are there? Okay. Why don't you explain who John Maeda is?
John Maeda is I don't remember the profile that much.
Yeah.
But he's the dean of
Rhode Island?
Yeah. And then he TEDx Tokyo, where I was working in Hop, and I was taking care of my kids at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't remember everything, but he basically talked about mentioned about the character of the animation of Japan, and then talk about mention about the character and how the Japanese heroes are different from the Western heroes, and how they show not the leadership, but how they show their strength and how they show to achieve something. That's what I told.
So, did you get an impression that the Japanese style or approach to leadership is somewhat different, somewhat unique?
That's what I received from the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Now nobody can raise their hands. Okay.
I
Good.
read the book.
Yeah.
Which says that to go into the neighborhood is very important.
This is the Japanese version, and okay, and here's the English version on my Kindle. But okay, it's much easier to read the English version rather than Japanese. I think you can get much better sense of what he's trying to say. Okay, who else? Tell us a little bit about John Maeda, please.
Although his profile is quite unique, he has a variety of careers like engineer and the company manager and the dean of design university. And he learned
Okay.
One interesting thing is that his idea of leadership is something like a plum tree that the leader is supporting at the bottom and the working regular people.
Yes.
Working freely with the flexibility and the creativity. It's different from the 20th century type leadership that leaders sitting at the top of the pyramid.
I see. Okay. Anything else? What else have you found? I think you have received the follow-up mail, right? This is the book that I'm talking about, and this is the link to what he is talking about. You haven't? Okay. Some people have got. I think when you register, I assume that you received. This is the book that, and also the link to the TEDx Tokyo. You haven't? Okay. Some people, who hasn't received it? Okay. I wonder why. There's something wrong with the system. Okay. Anyway, that's too bad. Let's see. Okay, so probably then I should show you. John Maeda has a Twitter. And this is his tweet, John Maeda. And I found this one. And this is the heart of leadership. It's pretty recent because it talks about the Boston Marathon. And like many people, I was deeply moved by the brave individuals who ignored their own safety to help victims just seconds after the recent Boston Marathon blast. How and why did they do such courageous things that day? The actions of Matt Patterson, Carlos, I can't read, Michael Chase, and others in Boston speak to something deep at the heart of leadership. So what is leadership? Here's my definition. It's about making positive change happen, which otherwise would not have happened. Action is key. When you make a difference by acting, you're leading. Knowing the right thing to do or the right framework to use gets you part of the way there, but that's not leading yet. To lead, you must act on what you know and feel is right. And now consider this brief video from 2003. Each time I see it, I know I'm witnessing the true leadership at work. And I'll show you this one. But this is the event of a big event in the US of the sports scene. And this girl is supposed to sing the national anthem. And she couldn't remember the word right in the middle. So that's very embarrassing in front of 20,000 people or something like that. And here's this guy coming and just kind of help her. So let me show you this. Have you? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else has seen it?
And now to honor America and salute the men and women serving our country with our national anthem, please welcome, as voted by you, the fans, our winner of the Toyota Get the Feeling of a Star promotion, Natalie Gilbert.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the stars like stars? Stars like last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red land and the singing air gave
So this is one of the scenes that he thinks is the leadership. And he also talks about creative leader and the authoritative leader. And let's start off with, I think that's what you were talking about to some extent. Authoritative leader needs symbol of authority, sustaining order, think like general or conductor, one way, wants to be right, open to limited feedback, closed system. And as a matter of fact, if you have watched TEDx Tokyo, John Maeda talks about the national supreme commander of NATO, talking about the security of the nation, which is very impressive, I thought. The nation can be secured not by building the walls. Nation can be secured by building bridges. And that's coming from the supreme commander of NATO, who is a military person, right? So I thought it was very, very impressive. Creative leader is a symbols of inspiration. They take risks, think like artists, interactive, hopes to be right, but not necessarily, open to unlimited critique, open system. Yes? I believe this is right, correct direction. Yeah. Hopes to be right. So you have to be right all the time. You're not supposed to be wrong, in other words. So I think that's what it is. So what do you think? Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So?
So basically, I mean, according to his explanation, the film, I think the person who was featured on the film belongs to the.
Mm-hmm.
He was willing to take the risk. Basically, he was supporting a 13-year-old singer who is not known in public.
Yes.
He was willing to take the risk to support
Okay.
little others.
Okay. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Just by looking at this current situation before recent scenario.
Yes.
I think the environment is changing every day.
Yes.
So with that, I think creative leadership might work together. And old days, the old system works and the old system stays or maybe.
Okay. I think at one point we were very much interested in different types of leadership. Has anybody gone to this leadership training workshop? They sort of they categorize you into what kind of leadership style you have, and whether that fits into the situation or not. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. I have joined a very unique leadership program held in Italy and supported by United Nations.
Yes.
And all of the youngsters come from each continental and come to get in
I see.
and discussing
Yeah.
and think about the depth of
Yes.
each person's life and discussing the global agenda.
I see.
Very nice. And now I and other my colleagues are planning to have the first Japan program in the
I see.
autumn.
The same way.
Yeah.
Does that mean that each culture or each nation have a different style of leadership?
It's
Because you're saying it's from a different continent.
and the leadership program focuses on the individuals.
Mhm.
It's not about the nationalism.
I see, I see.
But it's really reflected on the each culture.
I see, I see.
So it's really interesting. So
Okay.
some people say one of the most important issue is the asking, but my idea is contribution.
I see, I see. Okay. Let me ask you two questions. Probably you must have read the 採用基準 by Iga Yasuo-san. And one of the things that she said is that the leadership is what distinguishes people. And everybody has to have leadership or has to have an opportunity to demonstrate leadership. It's not problem solving, it's not communication. Leadership is the key. That's my question. So does everybody have to have a leadership? That's one question that I would like to pose to you. The second question is that at Sangalen Symposium where I was last week, one of the winners of the essay competition wrote, what we need is the followership and not the leadership. And we often talk about crisis of leadership, but the followers are the ones who create the leader. Unless we trust the leader, the leadership cannot be demonstrated. So what we need, we are in the era of followership. We need followership. Everybody has to be a follower. Everybody has to be a leader. At the same time, everybody has to understand what followership is all about. Because leaders cannot lead unless followers are around, unless followers allow them to lead. And today, because of the social media, because of all these things, everybody just kind of talks, expresses their view, which is great. But at the same time, it's becoming very populist type of things. And it's very difficult for the leaders to lead. So I thought it was quite interesting concept that do we need to have the followership? And we are sort of forgetting about the followership. So those are the two questions that I would like to pose to you when you have a breakout session. Rather than showing you any more video, I think it might be better for you to break out into the sessions, discuss it, and come back, and we may show you some more video later on. How does that sound? So two questions. Does everybody have to have a leadership? Do we also need followership? What do you think? You can define it any way. So that's her, I think the definition is subject to change. And you are the one who define. So what's the leadership today? Is leadership changing? What do we mean by leadership? It's in a different context, it's pretty easy. Like in the military, you can say the generals are the leaders, right? They're supposed to lead. But is that leadership, is it dependent on the context? Is it dependent on the era, the situation? What determines? And how good are you as a leader, as a follower? What are the items? Whenever we talk about the leadership, we often come up with the items. These are the qualifications for the leadership. And some people say, what they call it, what does a wise leader? And all these things, right? Phronetic leader, something of that sort. And they have all sorts of wisdom rather than knowledge and things like that. But I'm not really sure whether that's the right way to go or not. So my two questions are, does everybody have to be a leader? Where does the followership come in? Why do we have a crisis of leadership? Before we get into that, let me ask you, who do you think are the leaders? What kind of people do you sort of think of when somebody asks you, what is your sort of hero leader? Specific names. Aung San Suu Kyi. Can somebody write? Okay. Pardon me? Barack Obama? Steve Jobs?
Nelson Mandela.
Okay. Nelson Mandela? Okay. I see. Hillary Clinton? Go ahead. Sorry.
貞子とか
Barack Obama. Yeah. Who? Okay. Who else?
Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama? Okay. Okay.
Gandhi. Gandhi.
Gandhi? Who else?
Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher? Who? Shinzo Abe. Okay. We had the others before Mandela. Tell us again. Barack Obama. Steve Jobs. Who else that we missed? John Wood. Room to read. Kumi of Greenpeace. Okay. Finally. Okay. So, who else? Okay, yeah. Mitchell Butler? Butler. Okay.
Lee Kuan Yew.
Lee Kuan Yew? Who else? Kazuo Inamori. Who else? Christine Lagarde. Yoshimura Akiyama. Of Nakanoue no Kondo. Hi. Who else?
Jews Muhammad.
Who?
Jews Muhammad.
Okay. Akiyama. Yeah. How do you spell?
Jews.
Yeah.
Y-U-N-U.
Oh, Eunice, okay. Yeah, the Grammy. I see. Yeah. Who else? John Lennon? Okay. Who else? Let me ask you this question. You have a lot of leaders. Does your behavior or activity follow theirs? When you think about the leader, or why yes, why not?
Sure. Are you asking us whether each of us has the character type?
Yeah. Well, when I asked the question, who is your leader, sort of ideal leader? And so we have a lot of names, right? And pretty well-known names, most of them. And my question is, this is not just an exercise of who are the leaders. I think when we talk about the leaders, I think we are in some way they're inspiring. So that means you do try to do similar kind of things as your leaders do. So that's what I asked.
The reason why I selected the Bucket
Yeah.
is show the extreme role model.
I see. Okay.
And also fighting and
Okay. So you try to emulate. Okay. You try to be like her. Okay. What about others? Okay.
There are actions that are differently easy.
Mhm.
That requires time.
Yeah. So,
Some activists are looking for the rules.
yes, yes.
But some activists are reluctant to
Okay. The reason why I am asking these questions are, sometimes it seems like we're just talking about the leaders. So what? You talk about leaders, and these are the leaders, these are the qualifications. But if it doesn't make any difference to your life or your activities, how good is it? Well, that's what I'm trying to ask. And I haven't quite planned it this way, but I mean, that's what I thought. And it seems like whoever, I don't really care, who your leaders are. But if we are just saying, okay, I like this, I like that, that really doesn't make too much of a difference. And well, according to Joe Maeda, we really need actions rather than just talk. So that's something that I just kind of wanted to throw to you before we get into the discussion. So you can refer to these names if you want, but let's break out into the groups so that many of you can have a chance to discuss. And as we do every time, each one will decide on the discussion leader and also the reporter, so that they can report back what you have discussed in each group, and we'll just go around. Okay? So we'll spend about probably 45 minutes or so, and we'll see how it goes. So I think there are 8 tables or so, and I don't know how many are there.
8 here.
Okay. How many are there so far?
35.
35? Okay. So that's fine. 8 is more than enough, almost. So just go to wherever. Each one has a whiteboard, and so bring your chair and go to any.
Just closed it and reopened, but now I'm pretty satisfied with what we got. I'm letting Tina know that she joins again, and could you hear from the live stream?
Yes, my live stream is still working.
Just closed it and reopened, but now I'm pretty satisfied with what we got.
It's close to the
I'm
live
letting
stream.
Tina
Close
know
your
that
live.
she joins again.
Wait a moment.
Could you hear? There was the live stream right now. Oh, Tina's here. Great. All right, let's start. Okay. So we had already asked the question, who are some of your favorite leaders and why? And I wrote behind me on that board, Sir Alex. There was Bart's comment, and Tui, you will have to explain more about your leaders, which are not too familiar to me, and also Borislav did not know one of them, right?
Sorry?
Tui, are you there?
Yes.
Tui? Shion? But I haven't heard Tui yet. Huh?
Okay.
But Bart, why don't you just explain about Sir Alex for the moment?
Yes, sure. Just thought about it, and I came with the idea of Alex because on the news it was that he is going to resign. He's going to quit his job. But in the football environments, the players they have like a big ego. I would say in English maybe I don't know if you understand me with ego. It's like a little bit Dutchish.
Ego?
What I'm
Ego, ego,
yeah,
like an
yes,
egocentric. Yeah,
sorry.
they're egocentric. They see
Yeah,
themselves
yes,
first.
yes. And they got a lot of money. They think that they are the best of the world, the players at least. And to make it a real team, which can play like no, I say it. To make it a good team, then you have to be a good leader. For me, at least.
To control these egos of these players.
Yes.
So Alex is the trainer, right?
Yes, Alex Ferguson. all of the new coming acquisitions shared. So they also agreed. So the solution was effective. So he was, in that sense, a good leader for that department.
He had a track record, right? Maybe it's hard for someone without that kind of track record to actually be recognized as a leader, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I also
But I
would
think that's-
quote my former boss as one of the leaders that I kind of learned from, yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Just as you mentioned your boss, I probably also would mention one of my former bosses
Yes.
as an example. He was definitely not liked by many people, but not by everyone. But somehow he had a great way of actually getting people do much more than they thought they were able to do.
So he was inspiring.
He was, but he was how to say? He was adjusting his works or communication style a lot to who he dealt with. So people, they just did not know him how he was to some other kind of group he dealt with, because he had played a different attitude towards that. I think he adapted himself quite much.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to the way my boss used to work. He used to focus on commonalities in the team, or what the two new companies and the old company, what they had in common. Based on that, he tried to build or capabilities, focus on getting this shared perception together. And of course, using data, because you cannot really argue. But that was a different.
Yeah. Let's go back to the original question. We've been talking about sort of leaders with a certain charisma and leaders with certain skills, but the first question is: does everyone have to be a leader or does everyone have to have an opportunity to show leadership in any type of organization? So could you give us some thoughts about what that might be, what kind of different types of leadership that people might show, and or if you agree with the question.
If we want to show some kind of leadership skills, they should at least be given a chance to test it in the very basic sense.
Okay. And do you think that's the same for every level of the organization, or because I mean leadership has always been sort of this hierarchical. There's this one charismatic leader. Versus now, it seems like there's more of a diverse range of what leadership might be. So I guess this is sort of one of the questions that's being raised right now by this session right now. So.
Was the question clear?
Sorry?
Hello?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Does everyone have to have leadership?
Yes.
And
Like every single person.
I think that we are heading to the wrong direction. Because the question is, do we all
Is
have
leadership something that you leave to others, or is it something that all of us
Let's go back.
should have?
All of us should have. So it's like a skill that everybody must have, right? Is that the question?
I think the question is that you got the possibility to show your leadership skills. That's the question, isn't it?
that's part of the question too. But
What is not so clear about this question? The question is, does everyone have to have leadership? What are your answers? Bart, you say the question is if somebody has the chance, the opportunity to show leadership.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Everybody needs the opportunity to show his leadership, to show what his possibilities are.
Okay, and he needs somebody who follows as well.
Yeah, but it's a circle. Without followers,
Yeah.
you cannot be a leader, and without leader, you cannot be cannot have followers. So yeah.
All right. So it's a circle. The one affects the other. All right.
Yes, yes, I think so.
Let's hear what Boris. Or let's listen to Tina's comment once. Tina, what is your answer to the question? Does everyone have to have leadership?
I do believe that everyone. Do you hear me? Just because I'm not sure.
We hear you.
Yes,
Ah,
yes.
you can hear me. Okay. So I do believe that everyone needs to have the opportunity to demonstrate their leadership. And actually, I believe that everyone has this opportunity when they're like appointed to a specific position in a company. Just because when you hold a specific position, it is expected that you have specific expertise, so you can somehow demonstrate your leadership abilities. But I do also think that actually we are living in an era where we lack followership. Just because when we talk about all the time, when we talk about leadership, at one moment everyone wants to be a leader and no one wants to be a follower.
No one
therefore
wants to be a follower. No.
Yeah. And also, I believe that um, I don't know whether on the highest level of the hierarchy, but definitely on the entry middle management level, everyone needs to be also in the position to be a follower. Just because when you switch from the position of a leader to a follower, you just change your point of view and you can appreciate what, like, maybe how you can be even better as a leader. But when we talk about the leader, well, I was listening to you about what the leader should have. Definitely, um, I agree that the leader should be knowledgeable, and we all agree that he or she should be an expert in their field. But also, when we talk about a leader that we respect, I believe that they also need to have like some kind of personal integrity and also to hold on to values that other people respect. For example, well, when you talk me about the person that I regard as a leader, these are, for example, two of my previous bosses. But also,
Again,
I had
bosses. Yeah.
one boss which is definitely not a leader. Just because he didn't have this integrity. He said, well, it's okay if we cheat the client. Well, the ultimate goal is uh, to make some profit. So from time to time we can cheat the client. So this was an example of this integrity that I couldn't follow.
So what happened was that he did not have that followership that was needed to be a successful leader.
Yeah, just because he was lacking this personal integrity.
And everybody kind of understood that.
I agree with that. I think it's very difficult to only lead if you don't know what it is to follow. Because then you're just, blind to what's happening around.
We have a special guest coming up.
Hi.
Hello.
So what's going on here?
So we have a few people joining us through
Yes.
Google Hangout.
Yeah, great.
It's Bart from Holland and Bob. Bob is actually joining from he or she.
Yes.
He's one of the
SEM
SEM students.
Yes, yes.
Then we got Tina.
Yes.
And we got Tui.
Oh, okay, great, excellent.
Tui's microphone is not working correctly, so she
okay.
joins with some text.
I see, okay.
But we just talked about some of our leaders, thought leaders, and many of us have former bosses that we kind of saw as leaders or not as leaders.
I see.
And Bart had Alex Ferguson, the trainer of Manchester United, as a leader example.
I see.
And now we were just mentioning what was the other question? Okay, everybody want to be a leader, but nobody want to be a follower, right? So let's talk about this a bit more. What about followership? Is it actually something less valuable than leadership?
In other words, does everybody want to be a leader? Do you want to be a leader? Or do you want somebody else to take a leadership? I think that's sort of like a question right now. And also, as I talked about earlier on, you pick up some leaders as your sort of hero. Does this person's behavior affect what you do? Or do you just pick the leader because he's great or she's great and has nothing to do with you? I think that's the impression that I got in here, because everybody's just kind of like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and all these things, which seem to be definitely a leader, but it's nothing to do with me.
That's yes. So it seems like everyone just wants to follow.
Right. Yeah, almost.
I think those examples are just based on what people know. Okay, Gandhi is a great leader, so I'm gonna quote Gandhi because I've heard he's a great leader. That's
Yeah. So yeah.
But in terms of being a leader or follower, I think it's very important to be a follower so you can be a leader. Otherwise, you don't know what you do.
Can you say that once again?
I think I'm just going to restate what we had earlier. It's very important to be a follower, or to be a leader. Because if you're a leader without being a follower, I mean, you're lost. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree on that.
I also agree on this, just because if you're able to follow, this means that you can see a different point of view, you can learn from the other person. So somehow like contributes to your self-development and you can be effective. So one aspect also.
And what about the dimension? So why is it easier to kind of admit a famous person as a thought leader, and we not really have an easy answer for great leaders around us?
Oh, but they were mentioning their bosses, and
Yeah,
so I feel like
different than the group.
Yeah, it seems
Here,
like,
right?
what I hear, at least from Boris and Keita, is like you pick up your boss as your sort of hero leader, which means much more relevance to me. So that makes a lot of sense. And some people say my parents, or my boss, or my teacher, or whoever, which seems like, okay, I can emulate, I get inspired, which is very, very different from what I heard and here. And I was a little bit surprised that everybody picked the what they call sort of charismatic leaders.
Maybe the answer also implied that, okay, maybe others should know that person who I'm mentioning, right?
Oh yeah.
Also good reason.
That's why you mentioned
I see.
Alex Ferguson, maybe.
Yeah, because the others, they know them, and it's easier to, if I say my boss, nobody is knowing my boss.
Right, yes.
So that's why examples were like Obama and
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a very good point.
everybody knows the person. That's the reason.
But I mean, I guess what we could do is that if you say your boss is a leader of your choice, so what aspect of your boss do you think, reflects the leadership? And that seems to be much more sort of relevance.
I think communication is really important in leadership.
Yes.
If you can communicate your ideas, and you can communicate with persons in a way that they follow you,
Yes.
then you are a good leader. I think that's a really important thing in leadership.
Good.
Actually, what I would say, Boris mentioned, when we talk about who is the leader,
Yes.
I would say that this should be a person who is flexible enough so that they can inspire different types of people to follow them. Actually, to give the people the opportunity to follow them, not to manage them, not to make them do something, but to give them the opportunity to be led, to actually assume the position of the follower.
And that's actually interesting when you think of leaders of the 21st century. We look, for example, at this LinkedIn list of influential people. I don't know if they're the greatest leaders out there, but definitely have a huge followership when it comes to a virtual audience. Up to 100,000 people follow them on Twitter or on LinkedIn and so on. So it seems to be that they are flexible enough to understand that potential and are flexible enough and good in communication to use this media to reach a new kind of followership, global, right?
Right,
but
right.
they're just more active in this than others. Others could do this as well, and they would get more followers, right? But you have to be oversharing basically to reach this kind of huge amount, like John Maeda has. Or,
Yeah, but what is when you say leadership in the online world?
yeah.
It's a kind of passive, like the follower is passive in this relationship.
Yes.
So the leader in the online world is more like an expert or person that you can, a kind of teacher. But actually, this is not a person that makes you. This may be a person who inspires you to change yourself. But actually, don't. I don't know.
If that happens, that would be great. Yeah.
On the internet, I imagine like Twitter, and you just press one button and you agree to follow someone.
Right, right.
It's actually it's a kind of like maybe a conversation. You agree to communicate with this person,
Right.
but not actually to follow him.
Yes, yes.
It's interesting that this button is called follow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Maybe-
tweet.
maybe
Yeah.
like, even when
That's
you
quite
just share thoughts, it's like do you follow my thoughts? So it's maybe therefore it's called.
I think the internet is very good at this, being the so-called opinion leader. I mean, you have a face or a group or like an idea, let's say, Engadget, for example. It's a very nice website.
Yes.
Where they do very detailed reviews and comparisons of the new electronic gadgets.
Yes.
Though they can be considered an opinion leader because they are the so-called experts within the field of electronics.
I see, I see.
People listen to because they have, unbiased fair reviews.
Yes, I actually have a really interesting quote, a Twitter tweet from John Maeda. He says, John Maeda is thinking how in a world where everyone is an author, authority means less. So in an era when everyone can basically generate content, does that mean that we don't need a specific central leader? So that's sort of one of his quotes that he mentions.
Yeah.
So it's really relates to the Twitter and the user generated.
I think if everybody is equally competent, this could be possible. But that's not true.
Yeah.
Not everybody is equally competent or equally knowledgeable or equally educated.
What's actually more measurable on this social media is somebody sharing more than others, but it doesn't say is he more competent than others.
That's true.
A very oversharing competent person will always have more followers than a very competent but not active person, right?
Yeah.
So it almost sounds like the leadership in the online age is quite different. And we have different kinds of leaders and leadership sort of emerging.
Some more
And,
sustainable,
some are sustainable, and there are more variety, different styles, and it almost sounds like there are many different ways of followership. You can just follow. You can just say follow Twitter, but does that mean that you get inspired, or do you want to just keep in touch?
I see.
So I think it's I mean, I haven't thought about that until you mentioned, but I think it's a very interesting concept. And particularly so when the tweet has this button of follow. You know, that sort of signifies.
That's true. I
Yeah.
think a very interesting thing that might have emerged from our conversation today is that popularity on the internet.
What in internet?
I think I got muted by mistake. I think popularity
Yes.
doesn't necessarily mean leadership.
Right, yes,
I
yes.
think we've noticed is
Uh-huh.
that it requires an element of expertise.
Yes.
While popularity just requires a number of listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's an interesting distinction to note.
Yeah. That's
especially
very true.
about the internet.
Right. So I think
Can you repeat that what you just said?
yeah.
I think leadership should be regarded as very different from popularity because it requires an element of expertise or of knowledge which popularity doesn't need. So apart from the large follower base, which both popularity and leadership should share, leadership is one step above. It requires a level of expertise.
Yes. Yeah, I think a good example is Justin Bieber. He got a lot of followers,
Exactly.
Justin
but
Bieber.
he's not an expert.
No.
At least I don't think so.
Very interesting. It almost sounds like, okay, we have popularity in leadership, and leadership, as we talked about earlier, as you mentioned earlier, there are like opinion leaders and experts. These are two different kinds, almost. So it seems like there are more opportunities for all the people to be something.
Yes.
It's true. It's true. I think even Obama can be, in some cases, misunderstood as an opinion leader because you know him because of his popularity. And you listen to that just because everybody listens to him.
Yes.
But you don't actually listen to him
Yes.
when he makes sense. You just listen to him because it's Obama said.
Right, yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, I heard that the best one that, you know, how to make sure that everybody follows you or read your tweet. A lot of people just don't just go through. They don't read, you know, whatever they say. And I heard that Obama's the biggest one is hey. If you say hey, they listen or they read. And I thought,
Or
oh,
they got retweeted.
yeah. I thought it was quite interesting.
So you're basically saying that Obama is kind of a phenomenon of the easy to acquire leadership with the social media, and that's part of his success.
Within social media, maybe yes. Maybe he does owe a certain amount of his success within the social media just to passive followers who don't question his expertise.
So do you think we talked about passive followership, right? And like, you know, particularly so in the social media era. Does that sort of make people more passive, or is there active followership? I mean, I don't know whether that's, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, with all the laws they have on the internet, they do have a lot of people who regularly post their opinions on articles and whatnot. So there could be active followers, for sure there are, but I think they're much less than the passive followers.
I think we become more and more passive.
I think so. Yeah. I think also
Consuming
there's
all this
trends,
information
especially
first.
with YouTube. There is a YouTube channel and it grows the number of subscribers. The number of active followers starts falling as a percent. Not also as a percent, but also as an ultimate percent. I mean, with the more users you grow, you don't get more active followers. You start getting less because the people start thinking, okay, you know, the guy's so big, he's too big to follow my comments.
Interesting.
Okay, you like that.
This is interesting thing within YouTube occurs. I've noticed a few channels that do have that.
So do you think as all these social media, YouTube and, you know, tweet becomes available, do we ever get enough, or do we ever say enough is enough? I don't
You
know.
discover new things every day.
Yeah.
if we say enough is enough, then maybe we put a limit for ourselves, which
Okay.
usually is an indication that we stop developing.
Mm.
That you don't put the limit in front of yourself, so then you cannot go further than this. So
Yeah.
maybe enough is never enough. Although maybe it's too much, it could go in the opposite direction, not the desired direction. I don't know.
Yeah, there is a factor in technology which just kind of drives you. And so once that happens, without really knowing, the technology is using you, controlling you, whereas you're supposed to be sort of managing technology. So I don't think it's, I think we talked about this the other day, and it's a fine line.
Yes.
Because how many people just check their tweet or email first thing in the morning?
I do.
Yeah.
I have to. It's the way I talk with my colleagues.
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm stuck with using these, especially Facebook.
So how do you feel? You feel you're always driven? Or do you feel it much more positive way, or do you feel it's sometimes it's a little too much?
It can be a bit too much sometimes.
Yes, I agree.
I also feel overwhelmed. Just for example, if you when internet is a way for communication.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have personal communication,
Yes.
you opt in you decide whom to follow or whom to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But through the internet, you actually are pushed to listen to everyone, especially when using it for professional purposes, doing your job. So you need to follow all the messages so that you're sure that the right one gets to you.
Mm-hmm.
99% of the messages are irrelevant to you, so it's a waste of time and
Waste
a
of
waste of energy.
I see. Interesting. Because, I mean, these several days I've been just so under, time pressure. So I really didn't tweet at all, and which I usually do. So all I did was just write a blog, and that went into the tweet, but that was all. And I kind of felt probably I should, but I just didn't feel, I'm able to. And so that was something.
How has your leadership style changed in the last 10 years? Thinking that now you use all these tools, and which you didn't use maybe 10 years ago. Has it changed a lot?
It's I don't think my leadership style per se has changed. I think it's much more like the network has expanded tremendously. So I can reach much more people. But it doesn't really affect my style, I don't think.
So you could go back if you needed to. Like, could you go back, or do you still need to keep in touch using this kind of technology?
I think I'm sort of driven. So once I know that I can reach all these people,
Okay.
I think it's sort of difficult for me to go back.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know it just drives me crazy once in a while, but I don't think I'll ever want to go back.
But actually, the hard skill has not changed.
I don't think so.
Just somehow the software.
And I'm not. To me, it's very difficult to figure out how you lead online. I mean, it's much more like face to face. It's much more touchy-feely kind of thing. And so it's the same thing. Can you lead by writing something, some book or something? And it seems to me it's a little bit different story, but probably not. Probably you can lead no matter what. I mean, we were just talking about how it's possible. What do you think?
Well,
I sort of put you on the
Yeah,
spot.
but
Because everybody asks me, so I said,
from
well,
what I've seen with the people who are considered the leaders of today,
yeah,
they have an online presence for sure, and it seems like it's something that's not really, what do you call it, replaceable. I don't think it's something that they can displace with some other medium unless there's another solution for the communication. And it seems like, as you said, like it's a popularity, and then leadership comes, perhaps. So to gain that sort of level of popularity in today's day and age, you might have to.
What I kind of think about this is almost kind of a problematic. If you think, okay, if you would give a leadership seminar, what do you teach the people? And then it seems that you should teach them how to use the social media in order to grow huge amounts of followership, and then that makes them a leader already.
Actually,
that skill is
what I'm really interested in is, as you said, everyone, and we all agree here that everyone should be a leader. But leadership is displayed in many different ways. It's very multifaceted.
yeah, yes.
And we just talked about sort of online and how that people can become, I guess, pseudo leaders in some ways. But what are the real different types of leaders that really make an organization strong?
That's something.
Like
That's
we've been talking about communication skills. I mean, these are probably some things that all leaders need.
Yeah.
But what do specific leaders really need? And then should they collaborate, and how should they follow each other to actually get things done? I think that's sort of the question here, the main question, I think. And yeah.
Can you repeat the last sentence again, please? Sorry.
Which part?
The last sentence.
You mean the how the leaders, each leader in an organization should collaborate with each other, how they should
follow each other.
Follow each other. I think followership is also a multifaceted thing, right? I mean, we follow people in different ways, and I think. How should I?
It almost sounds like the leadership and followership have much more opportunities because of the technology.
Yes.
And it used to be like, okay, you are the leader, everybody's a follower, and you have face-to-face or orders, kind of. But now it's much more variety of leadership as well as followership. So each leader, like expert, in their own way, can collaborate. And do you call it follower or do you call it collaboration? I don't want to be too sort of abstract and academic in definition, but it sounds like there are many more variety, which is great in a way.
I think all the other things have not changed too much. But when we talk about 21st century, then I think one thing that we now talked enough about is that new communication skills.
Right. Yes.
Which you can just extend your follower base.
Yeah.
But I think why we did not talk about the actual leadership things itself is because this somehow has not changed too much. Probably we just all agree too much on some common sense.
Yeah.
But
So
then
perhaps
again,
the core of leadership hasn't changed at all.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to have to go, but
great.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.
But I kind of think like when you think of a reputation, you said like your track record that your boss had, and like that's something that can also be kind of called as a reputation that already kind of that went first, like a reputation reached some people before they get to know you, and I think this is also something that is very powerful in order to grow followership, right? The reputation that you have among your followers, and which they pass on to others. You can reach, yeah.
Can you repeat reputation, and then I think I lost you.
Kind of wanted to mention reputation as something that a leader should be aware of his or her reputation, and what that reputation can actually do for you.
That's true. Reputation is sort of an echo of what the leader has able to achieve. That's how you build reputation. Whether you've done it well or whether you've done it with people who have agreed with, I mean, that's the thing that I was talking about.
Something that you got to earn first, yeah. But it makes it's something that you got to earn first, but it makes the way.
You don't have to earn it. You can. What was that?
Somebody's phone.
Okay. You don't necessarily have to earn it. You can have it sometimes. I mean, if somebody says this guy is so credible and so genius that you have to listen to him. First opinion of a lot of people. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
But you're probably not. Are you more critical, or are you less critical, or same critical? Meeting a person who's like who again passed you on the reputation, right? Who said that? Who said that about that person?
Yeah, exactly. It's a person with a lot of reputation. Very, very inclined to listen to that.
So people with huge reputation talking about people with huge reputation, and that's probably making followership easier.
A little bit. And it stacks on itself. This leadership stuff, it stacks on top of itself.
Reputation stacks on top of itself. Okay.
That's true. Yeah.
I think leadership, in my perspective, has a lot to do with reputation. That's just what I just felt like mentioning.
Guys, can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Finally.
Also, one interesting thing would be is participative leadership people have been talking about.
Guys, I think Yuko Sensei is starting again her part. So what I would recommend is that you become
And what I would like to
a passive
do
leader
is
for
to,
follower
for
for the moment again,
everybody
and
to
tune
get up
into the Ustream.
and go to that group
Right.
But it was
and
very
listen to
great
their report back.
with you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Circle.
I will get back to you, Bart, and see you soon, Bob and Tina and Tui.
Really?
Yeah, you can do it, so Francisco. I can help, so we can help you. We can help. So
Point of discussion or disagreement.
It's not so wrap up. So the directions, the points.
Yeah. Okay, the thing is that, majority of us, we agree we need both, like followership and leadership. Nevertheless, individually, we have certain circumstances of our life or our professional or personal things, experiences, that make us a little bit ambivalent between yes or not. And these situations are really, connected to how we are influenced by our people around us, or our bosses at job, or our own expectations in life, etc. The thing is that we have a big debate. Like sometimes we agree that we need both, and one person can have both qualities, but at the same time, some people say we don't need at all to be a leadership sometimes. We just need to be followership. And this comes when people say that when you're, called to do things that have to be done, like in a job, like probably it's more like the authoritative side, like rules to follow or things to be done in certain time or whatever. But anyway, we have this kind of confusion here and debate, like between yes or no, a little bit ambivalent. But what I would like to say is that we mention a lot of values here, like knowledge, the knowledge of everyone should count, the abilities as well of everyone, facilitation, inclusion, creativeness, um, how to appeal, how to contribute, how to give feedback, how to construct. And personally, I mentioned it, the 4 types of leadership of the 4 capabilities framework from MIT that say like there are 4 types of leaderships, and one of them is a follower as well. But you can play these roles as well. Sometimes you can be a mover, sometimes you can be a bystander, an opposer, and a follower. The mover, well, shows a reflection, right? The bystander is like there's an idea and it promotes or builds up this idea. The opposer is just like identifies the threats and he says like, oh, we're doing it wrong in this way. And the follower is like the one who make the pieces and the construct to make all the thing happen. But probably when I said this, I confused my colleagues here. But anyway, I like it the reflection from here that if we see leadership and followership, we compare it to an image of a flower, right? The followers are like in the roots, and the leader is in the up. But to make it, I would say, I would add here to keep it beautiful, we need to be humble with our role here.
Thank you. Our group, the conclusion of our group, the question number 1 and question number 2, our conclusion is yes, everyone has the leadership. The reason is that the definition of the leadership in our group is that the leader work towards the goal and or objective and make change. The change can be innovation or giving value to someone or anything. And everyone has the leadership. And because when we are the child or we have a family, in the family, someone leads the other people, and as for and toward the education, we have the leadership, and even if I am alone, still I am the leader of myself because. And we have the potential leadership potential quality. And even if I am alone, I am a leadership because we create a value for oneself. And as for the followership, we have some discussion between what the leader or what the follower. And we conclusion is that there are not clear difference between leaders or follower in terms of not clear definition because they have many things in common. For example, leaders sometimes leaders gives order and but sometimes leaders act based on the followers' information or followers' proposal. So in that kind of sense, there is not a very clear definition. And we talk about many kinds of leadership. For example, in the past, there are leaders like military commander or dictatorship. But and for example, there are leaders in business enterprises. But we discussed that the leadership of business enterprises are actually unclear because in some of the Japanese company, actual decision is not made by a CEO or president of the enterprises, and actually middle class management do the decision and take the responsibility. In that sense, real leadership is there are not always real leadership in business enterprises, and okay, that's what I have been talking. So thank you very much.
So first of all, our group didn't directly answer to the two questions, and we mostly talked about what leaderships are. And so, like, we talked about many leaders, and so some people mentioned John F. Kennedy, and some people mentioned that Japanese leaders might be different from Western leaders, and they might have different traits. Like Japanese leaders tend to be moderator type of leaders. They tend to so they're not really leading, but they're like adjusting people's relationships. And well, for example, they when they start meeting, often they start from apologizing, shaji, and like that's kind of different mindset, yeah, from Western leaders. But still, we found common parts of the leadership, both could apply to Western and Japanese leaders. That is, so first of all, the leaders have to do something. So without doing anything, he or she cannot be a leader, and right? So he needs the behavior, and behind the behavior, he or she has to be true to herself. So they need to believe that what they're doing is really right. And so in some cases, they think so what they do is right, and it's also socially accepted, and it's ethically right. And also when they take the behavior, they need to take risks. And so this is also one part. Because they do the behavior, they get the result, and they create a new value to the society. And therefore, because they create something new and provide the value to the society, they get respected, and then hence they get followers. And in the result, the leader also has to take the responsibility, where anytime they fail, even they fail, they need to take the responsibility and do everything he or she can do to improve the situation. And yeah, and another point of leadership is communication skills, like facilitating, or you cannot just tell off your subordinates, and so you need to know how to communicate with your subordinates. And so that's also important part of leadership. So these are the common elements of leadership we figured out. And then we come to the two questions. So does everyone has to have leadership? Then I would say yes, because so we raise many elements of leaderships, and like everybody doesn't really have all of them, but like by doing something and creating the value to the society, this is what everyone does and everyone is supposed to do in our society. So some elements could be found in our even in our daily life and within ourselves. And is followership needed for everybody? And I would say yes as well, because so it comes with the communication skills, and they need to know how to communicate with their subordinates, and they need to be empathetic, where so they listen to their subordinates, the followers, and they need to know what they're thinking about, and they need to know when they follow, when you get the followers. And this kind of, so in order to understand this, you need to get a followership. So that's our answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, here's team 4 conclusions. And the question that you raised, number 1 and number 2, we anonymously agreed yes. And we started with the brainstorming of the a character of leadership and also type of leadership. And the characters, yes, most of the teams mentioned, but decision making, better performance, and the target setting, honesty, listen to people, people's talk, and motivate people, smart, disciplined, has very strong philosophy and beliefs, etc. And also we talk about the type of the leadership as like maybe Pascal type of leadership or servant leadership. And nevertheless, the type of leadership, we still believe that the character we have, each individual has in the diverse society right now, we could be a leadership to put the all the belief and the strengths into the one pot to drive the business or belief. Number two, also we believe the followers are very important roles to make it happen to drive the business. No major leader couldn't achieve by himself. And we put as like a couple of example as a case studies. One is Carlos Ghosn. He has very charisma and a very strong leadership, but without followers in the companies, he couldn't even make it to have what we call the V recoveries. So the followership is the essential to make it happen along with the leadership to support and the contribute leaders. And those in that time, leader also need to give the respect and the trust and the risk to the followers. Then follower can act as a part of the leaders in the society. And I wanted to show the famous YouTube that in a concert outside the, I don't know how many of you know, but one guy started dancing crazy, but second one came on board, third one is coming easy. So that's the followers, the type of roles in the leadership. That's it, yeah. That's that we. Nothing will happen.
Bob,
Yeah,
Bob,
that is
Bob,
alright.
Bob.
The expression to gather in the score.
You're on now.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Or see me, for that matter?
So can you report back what you've discussed?
Can you report back?
Okay, yes, I can do that. So the thing is, we started our discussion more or less around the topic that a leader should have a certain level of expertise.
Gotta share this with my web friends.
I'd rather share it with taste buds.
Introducing Wendy's flatbread grilled chicken.
That's what happens with technology.
Okay, you're back.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, we started with the idea that a leader should have a certain level of expertise attributed to his function. I mean, followers can only see a leader as a credible leader, as a good leader, if he is an expert in that field that he has to be leading the people in. And we also agreed on the fact that a leader should be also a follower at a certain point in his life or career. So when he leads, he has at least an idea of what it is like to be a follower, and so he's not really blind to what is going on around him. I mean, how he leads his people. And I think that's quite an important point, because without this skill of being a follower, a leader would be sort of blind